We're back. We're back.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Bushy.
What is up, Metal Mike?
I'm not much, man. Just living the dream, dude. Working all the time and doing my radio show at craniumradio.com. Metal Mike show on Fridays from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys come by and check it out. And or as Metal Mark says, my twin brother, better version of myself, either you rock or you fucking suck. You know. And you all better remember that. That's his other follow line up line. Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. Just glad to see you back in the digital age again, my friend. It's been too long.
God, it's been a nightmare.
I mean, isn't it weird? Because we had said, oh man, we're gonna take a break from radio, we're gonna stockpile these episodes. Well, what's that old saying? The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. Man, and podcasters too, apparently. They should include podcasters.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, here's something though. This is kind of a whole nerd thing. But me being a big comic book nut, there was a Spider-Man villain called the Jackal. And there was a big storyline in the Spider-Man universe called the Clone Storyline, Clone Saga, where he had made a clone of Peter Parker who went on to do his own thing and become his own character. And there was a line where he said, the best laid plans of mice and men and clones who would be men often go awry. So, that's a little nerdgasm there for you folks, even though this is not a nerdgasm episode.
Yeah, no, good Lord. First of all, this is the Plug Podcast, Music and More, Bushy.
Is that the name of it? I almost forgot.
I know, right? I actually snuck into Metal Mike's chat room a few weeks ago as somebody else. I started fucking with him. Like, I asked him, so when's the podcast going to start?
And then I basically threw you under the bus. I'm like, look, man, don't talk to me. Talk to Bushy.
He did.
But I kind of suspected it was you. And also, it wasn't like I was saying anything, talking shit. It was just
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's having this issue. Apparently, the wheels of technology turn very slowly in North Carolina. That is where you're at, right? North Carolina?
Not in the cities so much. You have to understand, I'm in a very tiny area. There might be 1,500 or so people that live in this particular town. They call it a city, but come on.
It's very rural. Rural.
Yeah, very.
Rural or rural?
Asheville is the nearest.
Rural.
Yeah, rural.
Rural. Yeah, rural. That's how you pronounce it. I'll get it right.
Asheville, North Carolina is our nearest major city. And that's 49 miles away, about an hour away with all the twists and turns and such. Barring that, Raleigh's like 4 or 5 hours away. Charlotte's 3 hours away. I mean, everything's away from fucking here,
Right.
So when we moved, get a hold of this fucking Zito Media. They suck. To get everything turned on over here. And they're telling us that they need to come survey. This place has never been hooked up to the internet. There's a satellite dish out there, so it had DirecTV or something at one point. But so I figured, okay, a few weeks. Man, a few weeks go by, and we call, and I just get so frustrated with this guy because he keeps talking over me. He's trying to act like we're a brand new customer. And I'm like, no, it was 3 weeks ago. Finally, I get into a fucking screaming match on the phone with this guy because he's just pissing me off that much. And I couldn't understand him. That always irritates me.
Oh, shit.
When you get, God love, they're giving these people jobs in places like India where they're doing call center work. But fuck.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I try to be patient only because, let me put it this way, their English is fuck ton better than my Hindi. Like I fucking couldn't speak their language.
But I'm not trying to speak their language. I'm calling
true. There is true about that. I mean, that's the thing though that's always bugged me about where you got some. Well, I'm just gonna come out and say it, like Spanish speaking people that refuse to learn English. I'm like, well, wait a minute, man. If I moved to Mexico or Spain or Colombia or any place that speaks Spanish, I mean, I'm going to do my goddamnedest to learn as much fucking Spanish as possible because I don't want to be helpless.
That's
So what,
just like when
you
I was
know,
growing up in Germany to communicate with, the locals, you had to speak a little German. That's just
just
how
the
it
way,
was.
yeah,
A lot
again, of
changed. A
course.
lot of people speak English in the world now. We get that.
Well, let's be honest. England, because the United States became such a world power, and I mean, really, to be honest, even the English Empire was huge at one point. English became the Latin of today. When the
Yeah.
Roman Empire ran shit, everybody fucking knew Latin. You had to.
Yeah.
You had to. Whether it was your native language or not, it didn't matter. And it's kind of the same thing with English, man. So we're kind of spoiled in that regard. But what I'm trying to say, like I said, like you said, you lived in Germany, man. If I go into a foreign speaking country and I have to live there and work there, you damn well know I'm going to learn as much of their language as humanly possible, as quickly as possible, because I don't want to be at the mercy of other people. Like if I can't read and at least speak their language, well, fuck, man. Like that's just yeah, it's like again, that's the thing where, hey man, speak English or die. Or is you know, um Billy Milano said, man, from SOD. He even there's a live concert in Japan where he goes, of course, if you live in Japan, it'd be speak Japanese or die. Like he said, no matter where it is you're from, if you're indigenous in that country and you got, hey man, and he was doing that, not trying to be politically correct, but just kind of explain, well, obviously, if I come to a fucking foreign country, I'm not going to expect them to, but it comes from that attitude, like, yeah, speak English or die, like, because, and I kind of have, maybe that's harsh of me, but I just kind of feel if you're going to come to my country, I mean, some people compare it because it's one thing, like when I went to Toronto a while back with Bill and all them, with our, our bachelorific group,
Right.
we, all the signs, English and French,
Yeah.
everything. And over here, it's English and Spanish, And what's interesting is a lot of your English speaking Canadians are kind of like, French Canadians.
Yeah.
They are like real, they're, and, but what's funny is I met some French Canadians and didn't even know they could speak English at first, which I should have known. They're speaking French. And this hot chick was all fucking, we were at the Ripley's Aquarium and you could see her through, and man, she's like shaking her ass. And one of them all of a sudden just goes, take it off in English. And I said, Sacre Blue, he
Right.
started laughing, but I was like, fuck yeah, man, I said, wee wee. That's what I said, wee wee. And he was like, yeah, he knew I was American, but we all started laughing.
That's great.
Um,
No, I
fuck it,
mean, it's not because he was a foreign speaker. It was, I was having a hard time understanding him. He's talking and yelling over me, but I'm trying
right.
to,
So
explain
he's being kind of
information.
rude. So it had nothing to
Yeah.
do with the language. So you got the
Yeah.
language barrier, but then he's
The
being a
dude was
dick.
just a dick. So I
Okay.
ended
Well, then
up
that's
hanging up.
different.
Yeah, I ended up hanging up the phone. And we drove all the way out to the next town, which is about 20 minutes away or so, where they have an office. And went in there and they said the same thing. We're still waiting on a survey. Okay, we made this request when we moved March 2nd. They finally called her, or they called us like a week ago or so to say, yeah, well, we're going to be out there Tuesday. They finally came out and hooked us up. At that point, I talked to my daughter. I'm like, hey, let's go halves and buy Starlink. Fuck it. I'm done playing. They came and hooked us up right before payday when I was going to go and buy that Starlink.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay,
So you're going to go ahead and roll with this for a while?
I'm
See
going to
how it
roll with
goes?
this, and I'll probably still end up getting a Starlink. They got a pretty good deal going right now.
Right on, man.
When I
Well,
first
hey,
looked at it,
the stronger internet you can get, the better, dude. I mean, we ended up switching to Spectrum because AT&T, man. I mean, it's not that it was bad, but they don't have digital cable here. They don't, or fiber optic cable. They're still using, and we were like, and the connection just wasn't as good. And yet they're charging as much as, and that's when me and Bill were like, well, fuck it, we'll just switch to Spectrum now. If AT&T ever get fiber optic cable, hey, man. But for whatever reason, where we live, they don't have it here. So it was like, well, we need to get the best internet,
yeah,
and I pushed for that. And And I help pay for it because I'm like, bro, I'm doing internet. I have to have the strongest internet possible
Yeah.
to put out a signal to be able to do my podcasting, and all that.
Yeah.
So
And
it
that's
is what
just
it
it.
is.
This is literally the only company that'll hook us up way out here in these fucking sticks. I mean, you remember the old Jeff Foxworthy jokes, you might be a redneck. Directions to my house literally include turn off the paved road. you know, I, you know, I'm out in the fucking sticks. There's mountains all around me. There's a river below me. All right. I'm about 100 feet up, literally up from,
Right.
so you can't walk too far. You're going to take a
One
fall.
of these days, I want to come down and spend like a week there.
Fuck yeah. Let me know, dude. Let me
Yeah,
know.
we'll have to figure it out. We'll have to figure out that way. You can maybe take a week off from work yourself, and we can just.
Yeah. And if we do it on my short week, that's pimp.
Okay.
That's pimp because my Wednesday, Thursday week, this is my long week. Then I just found out I'm fucked next week because I've gotten kind of spoiled. I have trained my daughter to do my job because I am going to be moving up in my company. I'm
right
waiting for this shit to happen for a minute.
So are you going into management?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be by July 1st. Things got wonky and out of whack. So I had to actually go in with my executive director while her boss was there because he was trying to leave. And I'm like, hey, come here. And put them both on the spot. Like, hey, is this still happening or what? And she was quiet for a minute and they said, yes, it is. I said, are you telling me the truth or are you just trying to throw me off the scent because you think I'm going to get pissed off and walk? Because they're right. I'm going to get pissed off and walk. Don't off or promise me a job and then not deliver on the job. And but the person whose job I'm taking has been working the night shift on the opposite rotation because they have no med techs. So they're getting them trained up. Then she can come back to the daytime, Monday to Friday, and that's when I'll go and learn my new job. But yeah, I've got Nevaeh all trained up. All she has to do is take her state test. She's been tested and checked off by our corporate nurse. So she's doing it with me. And it's funny, all that time I was bitching, it takes me so long to get this thing done. It's supposed to be done by 9 a.m. and I'm not done until 10:30 or so, by myself. Now I'm getting done before 9 o'clock in the morning. And I've been kind of like, fuck, I'm bored. But then she hits me with, oh yeah, Dad, by the way, next week is when I take vacation. And I was like, well, what? so we're looking at Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm back to the old 10:30, getting done with that pass. The only nice thing is that makes the day go wicked quick because I'm busy with that until 10:30. I take my smoking residents outside, light them up, let them have their cigarette, come back in. It's time for the lunch pass. You know what I mean?
Right.
Done.
Yeah.
Get that done. They get done with lunch, get their lunchtime smoke. Oh, it's time for my 1 o'clock pass.
See, now that you're going to management, you're going to really be able to identify with what I go through. So we're going to even be able to bond more.
I know.
Not that you didn't know, because like I would vent my frustrations about, and you were like, dude, I was a paramedic in the Army. I was a fucking, I was an LPN. I get it, man.
Oh yeah.
Because I used to work in I don't know what you want to call it, factory type work, warehouse type stuff. I could relate to some of the shit you went through. So it's like, yeah.
The management doesn't bother me.
There's a lot of perks to it.
We had we had one person quit as soon as she got wind of it. She said, I will not work for that arrogant asshole.
Oh.
Which to me says we don't need you here because I'm A, not arrogant, and B, I follow the rules. That's literally all there is to it. I just follow the rules. Things take me longer to do than it takes other people, but it's because I'm following the rules. And I know others are, taking shortcuts.
Right.
They have to live with that on their conscience, whatever.
And they also got to answer for things if shit goes wrong.
Exactly. And that's what I've been training her. It's like, look.
Because that's one thing when I do my med pass, man, I fucking sign off as I go. I've always done it that way since I was first started nursing till I'll do it till I fucking retire.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, that's what I've been training her to do and little things that people don't do to cut down time.
Also
Or,
increases the chances for med errors, though.
well, it's med errors. Plus, you can fuck people up. There's
That's what I'm
a
saying,
lot
dude.
of
So
these
the
older
med errors can be
people,
serious.
yeah, a lot of these older folks, if their medication is vital dependent, go get whatever vital it's asking for. Don't make one up. And I see a lot of,
Right.
I hate that. But no, I'm moving into a job that it's not the job I wanted. It's actually better than the job I wanted. So that's a good thing. But yeah, we're back. We're doing this thing. It's been a long time. I've got the ball rolling for me to get back on the air. I'm going to A to Z radio.net. I would have had everything set up this week, but I had to work Wednesday, Thursday, and he couldn't do it Friday because they're going on vacation. He's spending the day packing, which, cool. Alan says, yeah, man, I can't do Friday. I said, dude, it's all good. It's already been this long. What's another week going to be? you know? Yeah, so big things coming. A big bushy power hours going to A to Z radio.net. It's going to be interesting because I don't know of any metal DJs over there. You got rock and roll.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you've got,
Because like Cranium has different types of DJs, but a lot of it's rock and metal.
yeah,
Now Jeff, he wants to expand that, and there are some. I mean, he does like we got one DJ that does nothing but like 80s synth pop and new wave.
nice.
It's called Totally Tubular with DJ Gemini. She's a really good gal though, and but yeah, because with Cranium Radio, it's art for the ears and mind, as Def Jeff always says. So it's very much, I mean, if somebody wanted to do a country show or a bluegrass show, he'd be down for that, whatever. So any of you out there listening, if you got a hankering to do online radio, man, hit us up, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Up because
That's like this place. I mean, it's A to Z, whatever you want to play. And I've looked through their scheduling. I've listened into some shows, and the metal they play is the 80s type metal, their glammier stuff. And
well, now what you do, Bush?
Well, as I was getting done at our previous place,
I know you and I have been you have been going through like what I call a metal evolution here.
Yeah, well, I was starting to get a lot heavier music into my radio show as it was, and gotten away from anything else but hard rock and like metal, and I was leaving more towards the metal side. Lately, though, holy shit, it's like I'm addicted to liquid metal on a Sirius XM. And man, I'm just constantly finding stuff. I get a hold of this dude the other day. I'm like, yo, Dimmy Borger, get it to me. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? Really?
Well, it is
like
kind of it's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I love it that you're expanding your horizons, man. Because look, I love a lot of that glam metal stuff too, man. I know some people think, oh, Metal Mike's a hater. I'm not, guys. I've said it more than once. I love the first wave, even some of the second wave bands. Where I kind of lost interest, and thank God for thrash metal. And also, and two other bands that were really important to me and my brother at the time, because we were hungry for that. We were hungry for that old school sleaze rock metal, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And there was two bands that fit that fold, and they came right at that right time. And I was listening to them just as much as I was Megadeth and Metallica and Anthrax and Exodus and Death Angel and all them. Of course, Slayer as well. And that was Tesla and Guns N' Roses.
I was going to say,
I'm like, yes,
Guns N' Roses, because that debut album,
holy shit,
gave rock and roll a kick in the ass that it fucking needed.
Because
it was getting kind of processed.
It was getting stagnant. It was getting really processed and getting stagnant. And I also felt like it was more about with some bands. And again, this is just my opinion, guys. If you like those bands, gentlemen, rock out with your cock out. Ladies, jam out with your clam out. Hermaphrodites, you can do both. And by the way, if you're trans, yeah, and you're a chick with a dick, or if you had it cut off, hey, again, just do what you got to do. Headbang to the fuck out of that shit if that's your thing. I don't care. Like, I mean, some of it, like I do. I love Rat. I love Dokken. I love the first few Motley Crue albums. I love you know, I think Cinderella, underrated, criminally underrated glam metal band. You know, even though there were some blues rock elements to their stuff too. And there were some bands that, believe it or not, I misjudged at the time. I kind of lumped like Great White, rest in peace, Jack White, by the way. Or I mean, Jack Russell, Jack White. That's the White
Do
Stripes,
not,
which I do like them too.
do not be spreading misinformation on this show, sir. That is
Uh, uh,
not what we're about.
no, you know, no, Jack White's cool though. I do like a lot of. I like the White
Hey,
Stripes. I like the Rockatours. I
we
like
went
that
to his store and
record
studio.
store. It was
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
Well, what I liked about Jack is again was what I think rock at the time needed, going back to that garage rock era, which to me is definitely an influence on metal, especially on this side of the pond. In America, American garage rock bands. I mean, fuck, man, there was some DMC5, the Amboy Dukes, some good stuff there, man. Alice Cooper started out as a Iggy and the Stooges were, you know, I mean, yeah, you can consider them proto punk, and they were, but they were a garage rock band starting out, man. That's what it was called, and I think garage rock is very important.
Oh,
Definitely
I don't
pre-metal.
disagree.
So yeah, so when the White Stripe, I'm like, oh, this is like fucking old school garage rock, but he kind of put his spin on it too.
Right.
And that's what I want with any band. It's like I don't mind, you know, like right now there's been some, I guess I pissed some people off. And usually I'm not the kind of guy that comments on stuff, especially if somebody else posts it. But I'm so fucking tired of hearing about Oasis. I went off on it on my radio show, and I'm gonna fucking go off on it now. I'm sorry, I don't get it, guys. If you like Oasis, go with God. But I figured out what I don't like about them. I know what it is now.
The
Because
fan.
but you like to beat it through the night. Well, here's the problem. Number one, now I've been told take a deeper dive. All right, fine. I was listening to Decibel Geek the other day and actually played a song where I'm like, wow, that's some pretty jamming guitar. I like that. That's pretty good. But then the singer, and I know they're brothers. I cannot stand the singer. I hate his fucking whiny, fucking bitch ass voice. And another thing, everybody's like, oh, I like that they're snotty. Look, I don't mind a rock star who's a bit snotty, but these guys come off as pretentious fucktards. Who,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm going to say it right now. I don't think this fucking reunion will last 5 seconds. You're talking about two, even though they're brothers, they fight constantly.
Yeah.
Like it's going to implode. And I'm going to laugh when it does. And here's the other thing. I don't think anybody here in the States is going to give a fuck. I know they're a huge deal in England and other parts of the world. And I know there's some people out there that just absolutely think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
Still don't get it.
Oh,
Sorry, don't get it. So, you know, if you want to get mad at, you want to call me a label. Hey, yeah, you're right. I am an Oasis hater. And part of it's his fuck. I cannot stand that fuck's voice. It just goes right up the base of my spine and makes me fucking have seizures. I cannot stand Oasis. And also no points for originality. I don't have a problem with the band being influenced by somebody. But my God, at least put your spin on it. The first time I heard him, I'm like, who the fuck are these Beatle wannabes? And I'm sorry, if I want to listen to Beatles, I'm going to listen to goddamn Beatles. I'm not going to listen to motherfuckers who not only rip the Beatles off, but then later say, with full superior to the Beatles. You need to be fucking throat punched. You need to be throat punched for it. It'd be like Aerosmith going, well, I don't understand why people say we sound like Led Zeppelin meeting the Rolling Stones. Number one, very smart of them, okay? Talk about a surefire formula for success.
yeah.
Both bands are awesome, okay? And number two, at least Aerosmith acknowledged it. You know, like I hate Kingdom Come. Remember those fucks? Thought they were fucking Led Zeppelin? Sounded just like Led Zeppelin. Greta Van Fleet want to be Led Zeppelin. I don't mind a band who's like, you know, because I know some people are like, well, you like stoner metal and doom metal. You know what? Those bands don't sound exactly like Black Sabbath, though, guys. Sorry, they don't. Do I hear the Sabbath? Well, let's be honest. We're going to get technical. Sabbath is in all metal, fuckheads. All right. And
Right.
before you throw Judas Priest in my face, guess who influenced them? Black Sabbath. And I love Priest, by the way. I've said it more than once on my radio show. If Black Sabbath won, Priest are 1A when it comes to the importance of the evolution of metal. And both from Birmingham, by the way. Fucking try to sharpshoot me, motherfuckers, when it comes to metal history. I know what I'm fucking talking about. That's number one. And number two, like I said, If you like it, cool, man. I'm not telling. I don't understand why my hate diminishes your love, and especially when people make ridiculous posts and you know who you're. Oasis greater than Black Sabbath. Get the man, dude. Oasis couldn't hold Sabbath's fucking jockstrap. Sabbath, who by the way created an entire genre of music. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Oasis, a fucking inferior clone. And there's other bands that show Beatles love that are far fucking superior. And Cheap Trick happens to be one of them, Charles. Okay. And again, if you love them, dude, cool. Rock out with your cock out. I'm not Shane Paisley, Mooger Fooger. I love you, dude. You are a great guy. And I'm sorry if I pissed you off because Mark Alden Taylor posted something and he ain't even that big a fan. And I just kind of went off. I said, fuck Oasis. Next thing I know. And then I think Mooger was trying to, at first I didn't know what he's talking about. He said something about Beatles and AI. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I'm like, oh, that song. And then Mark had to point out, dude, those aren't AI vocals. Those are the Beatles vocals. They just use AI to separate each track because when they tried to release that shit when they did their anthology, it just wasn't working. And George was like, fuck this. We're not putting this out. And I guess they had made an agreement, especially by that point. If not all guys were in, then no one was going to release it. That's just the way it was. Once they did that, though, it's like, okay, they just used AI to separate the tracks. Whether you like the song or not is fucking irrelevant. My point is, I don't think that's the same thing. That is not the same thing as an AI Beatles album. Okay. That's different. And I don't see the correlation. And guess what? I wouldn't fucking like that either. Again, if I want to hear the Beatles, I want to hear the real thing. If I want to hear the Stones, I want to hear the real thing. Okay. I don't want to fucking hear, sorry, man. And if that makes me a curmudgeon, fucking get off my lawn, old fuck, then fine. I'm a curmudgeon. Get off my fucking lawn, old fuck. Okay. I'm fucking tired of having to fucking, like sometimes it's okay to have an opinion. I mean, if Ian and Ralph can hate on Sammy Hagar and all things Sammy Hagar, which anybody knows I hate, I'm not a fan of Van Hagar. I do happen to like Monstrose and I like some of Sammy's solo stuff before he joined Van Halen. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Those two mutually neutered each other. The only reason why A Different Kind of Truth is as good as it is because those were fucking songs that were written when Dave was in the band. They were older material that they went back to and finished them. That's why that record's as good as it is. I don't think if you got David Lee Roth where he was at this point in his life and Eddie Van Halen, that Different Kind of Truth would have been the same album. I really don't. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that Eddie and fucking Sammy mutually neutered each other because I've not been a big fan of Sammy shit since he left Van Halen. Not really. Chickenfoot don't grab me. Sorry, Mark. Doesn't grab me. I don't hate it. It's not like, oh God, this just sucks and it's awful, but it doesn't grab me. Much like New Maiden just doesn't grab me. I'm sorry. I like music that grabs me, that makes me feel, whether it's metal or fucking Clair de Lune by Debussy, which is classical music. I want music that fucking grabs me. It makes me fucking feel something. And Oasis don't do jack shit for me except irritate the fuck out of me because of Bitch Boy's fucking voice, man. I cannot stand his voice. And that's a personal thing. Hey, if motherfuckers can hate on Slayer because they don't like Tom Araya's voice, if motherfuckers can hate on Dave Mustaine, that's another thing. Okay, fine. You're again, it's all subjective. And another thing I got to get off my chest. Again, Charles, I don't mean to be gunning for you, but I'm gonna gun for you. When you made something that you made a remark about something to the effect like, well, America didn't get it. I guess I'm one of the few people smart enough or intelligent. Bro, I'm sorry, but that did kind of piss me off. And I remarked, I said, intellect has nothing to do with it. It's called subjective. Something either grabs you or not. One person's musical masterpiece is another person's musical monstrosity. And intelligence or intellect has nothing to do with it, okay? You're not fucking smarter than me because you like Oasis, dude. I'm sorry, you're not. And I'm not saying you're dumb. You're not, dude. And you're entitled to like whatever the fuck you like. I am not telling you you cannot like Oasis or you're a fucking idiot for liking Oasis. I ain't saying that at all. I mean, if you like them, cool. And a lot of people do. They do seem to be a very divisive band. Either people love them or they fucking hate them. And I'm in that camp. I figured it out. It's the singer. I can't stand his voice and I don't like him as a person. I think he's a fucking dick and I would like to see him and Glenn Danzig do a death match.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't understood it either. Cheap Trick. I get that reference, but I'm a very casual fan of Cheap Trick.
Fair enough. I
No,
get it,
but
but
Oasis, no matter what I ever heard on the fucking radio, because no, I didn't go buy their albums because if you're
well, I
going to
didn't like yeah,
radio,
again,
give me a fucking song I like and I'll go buy
exactly.
fucking shit.
There you go. They didn't grab you. So why are you going to do a deeper dive on a band that didn't grab you?
Exactly.
You're not. It's like when some people tell me about other bands, like, well, you didn't scratch. Like, okay, here's another one. Sorry, guys, don't get it. Had a buddy of mine literally play me one of their albums. Incredibly musically talented. Will not take that away from him. Nuno Betancourt is an amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
But Extreme do nothing for me.
Oh,
Never have. I had a buddy of mine, musician, and we loved a lot. I mean, he loved Pantera. He loved old school Metallica. He was all about Megadeth. He loved all that shit. He actually had me sit down and listen to Three Sides to Every Story, which was kind of an interesting, the concept. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Because you had like three parts, your side, my side, and the truth. Because
right.
there is some truth to that. Well, there is not just some. There's always, the truth is in the middle. People are going to see things a certain way when they go through an experience. It's not because you're a liar. It's just your viewpoint, the way you experienced it at the time. And then another thing people got to remember, memory is a very faulty thing. Oh, there's times I remember, there's been events I've had where I thought people were there that weren't, and realized that there was people there that I didn't remember being there. Like, memory is a very, very flawed, faulty thing, man. And for me, yeah, so he played the album for me and it just didn't grab me. Again, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh man, this just hurt my fucking ears like Bitch Boy from Oasis does. That shit makes my ears bleed. I'm sorry, but it
Yeah.
does. And
I
like I said,
understand.
I want to throat punch the guy anyway. You don't fucking say stupid shit. Like, if you're playing pop music or rock and roll music or pop rock, whatever you want to call it. Because to me, I'm with Ian. I think he said it best. The Beatles are the greatest band of all time. Rolling Stones are the greatest rock and roll band of all time. I think that just basically sums up right there, because the Beatles were kind of like a band that, a band I give compared. Queen.
Yeah.
What were Queen exactly? Were they rock? Were they pop? Were they metal? Were they stadium rock? Were they arena rock? Were they, you know, uh,
Tough to
hard rock?
pigeonhole because they did everything.
They were all over the place. I mean, they even incorporated opera and classical music into their fucking music, for fuck's sake. Queen were Queen, okay? And I think the Beatles were kind of that way. I mean, McCartney do fucking show tunes and shit. Like, the Beatles didn't give a fuck. It's like, okay, blokes, let's do it. They just, whatever they felt at the time, they did it. And it's not like the Stones weren't experimental. I mean, come on, man. Songs like having that chorus scene with the intro to "You Can't Always Get What You Want,"
Yeah.
the Beatles or the Stones were very experimental, especially not that they didn't experiment before, but when the Beatles broke up and the Stones didn't have anybody to go, well, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I think the Stones thrived. The Mick Taylor era is my favorite of the band. Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street. Those are my Goathead Soup. That's my favorite era. Even though my all-time favorite Stones song.
Album.
Huh? Yeah, I know it is.
Goathead Soup's my favorite Stones album.
See, mine's Sticky Fingers.
Still,
but hey, Goathead's Soup. I mean, fuck, dude.
That trifecta. I mean, Exile on Main Street.
Fuck, dude. Mick Taylor. I'm sorry. No disrespect. I like Ron Wood, and the Stones did some cool shit after. Hey, Brian, Brian Jones. He was awesome too. Multi-instrumentalist. He was a guy that formed the Rolling Stones. And what happened to him was really sad. And to this day, my all-time favorite Stones song is Fade to Black. Or Paint It Black, I mean. Paint It Black. I love Paint It Black. Paint It Black, just I love it. Love it. Always loved it. Even though they do the they have the sitar, which, obviously it was the Beatles in it, but it's still fucking cool. And the Stones, okay, we're going to do what the Beatles do, but we're going to put a little spin on it. And that's what they did. And to me, that's why I've never understood. And again, like you and me, man, you prefer the Stones.
Right.
But the one thing I give you credit for is you don't like go out of your way to disparage the Beatles to elevate the Stones. And that's another thing that just grinds my fucking gears, man. It's like, cool, dude. If you like one dude over the other, one band over the other, that's fine. But when you go, like this one dickhead got into it with my brother because he said that Dio was the first talented vocalist that Sabbath ever had.
What?
Really? Really? Okay, dude. You know, and then when my brother called him out on it, he got fucking stupid with my brother and then mentioned something about my mom dying. And then I got on there and said, dude, if I could fucking come to New York, I'd fucking throat punch you right now. I don't give a fuck if you're from New York or not. Go fuck yourself. And I hope you fucking fall into a cesspool, you fuck. Don't ever bring my mom into this shit.
Right. Yeah.
Going to, you know,
That's so fucking.
yeah. I mean, now you're making it personal, dude, and it's not. I mean, I think you're a fucking moron. If you don't like Ozzy, that's one thing. But to say he doesn't have any talent, okay.
Yeah.
It's like I hate Poison, but you know what? I'd never say they're not talented. Hey, they can play better than I can. I'm not a
Yeah.
musician. That's why I never disparage somebody's musicianship. I may not like what they do. It's kind of like Pablo Picasso. I hate his art, but you know what? I would never say he's not a talented artist. A motherfucker could draw or paint wherever the fuck he wanted. He just
Yeah.
decided to draw fucking weird looking stick people with 3 tits. Hey, whatever, man. Doesn't
I'm
do
a-
anything for me.
That's so funny because I'm a big Picasso fan.
Now you would be.
I
Of
was
course.
I was really upset because I embarrassed my mom horribly when we were at the Smithsonian Art Museum in DC. And you know, because we saw she was going straight for the Monets. Now, I had never seen a multi-million dollar piece of canvas. It's not under glass. You know, I'm 14 years old and I reach my finger up and just touch it.
Oh shit.
Oh man, this 6'5" happens to be black security guard
Oh shit.
with the
Dude.
voice of God, man, looks down at me.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, the fuck is your problem? I'm like, nothing.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Mom mortified.
How
We
old
left
were
the-
you?
14. Old enough to know better.
But yeah, you expected that shit to be behind a case and like,
Yeah, but I'm looking at the
so you're all like,
like,
cool, I get to touch a Picasso.
well, no, it was a Monet, a Claude Monet.
Oh, now see, I like Monet.
That was my mom's favorite artist. And you know, so I just saw the ridges of shit. I'm like, holy fuck, is that real? And it was, and I got yelled at. And my mom walked us out, so I never got to see the Picassos. I was upset.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. Anyway, again, though, subjective. But no, like I said, I would never say the man's not talented. You know, I'm more of a Michelangelo guy. You know, that guy's sculpting and all that shit was just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's pretty
and
good.
I
with
like, I
nunchucks,
mean, I
too.
do like I even Van Gogh, even though that guy was fucking weird. I do like some of his paintings. And even Picasso has a few pieces where I'm like, okay, that's pretty. Like I said, the man was talented. I will never, ever take that away from him. And what do I know? I mean, people went because he was an artist that got recognized in his lifetime, unlike poor Van Gogh. I mean, there's poor bastard. He couldn't give away his paintings. Nobody gave a fuck. Dies, and now people are paying for millions and millions of dollars. He's got to be out in the afterlife going, what in the act? Kind of like Robert E. Howard. Nobody gave a fuck about Robert E. Howard's work when he was doing it. He was getting published in pulp magazines. Nobody gave a fuck. The man was ahead of his time, though.
Wow.
And I've always said if Tolkien was the father of epic fantasy, Howard is the father of sword and sorcery fantasy. And by the way, I like both. You can enjoy both, guys. It's possible. You know, and then I think Game of Thrones was kind of like a mixture of that because there was a lot of boobs, and Conan has lots of boobs. So you had lots of nudity and fucking and some crazy shit going on in Game of Thrones, man. But
proud to say I've never seen a single episode of that show.
It's actually pretty cool. It's the first several seasons that are actually based on the books are really, really good. Unfortunately, what happened is this guy, he's still working on the final book. I don't know if it's ever going to come out, which I'm thinking, bro, you need to finish that shit. That ain't right to your fucking fans or wanting to, you know. So basically what happened, the showrunners kind of had to finish it on their own and do, you know, the one thing that kind of cracks me up, and the ending is fucked. It is. But Game of Thrones has always been fucked. Because the one thing I will say about the show, no one, Bushy, if you ever watch it, no one is safe. It's one of those shows where I don't care how an important character you think that they are. there's a lot of moments in the show that literally my jaw dropped to the floor. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? What the fuck just happened? And I think that's why that show got noticed like it did, because dude, it'd be like doing a Star Trek show and you kill Captain Kirk off in the first fucking season.
Right.
It was like that. It was like that. It was very much like, whoa, they killed that guy off or that person off or that. It was very, there was things about it that was shocking, because you wouldn't see it coming. You just be like, no, I
Right.
did not just see what the fuck I saw. And I think that's why I mean, really the very first episode, by the end of that episode, you're hooked
Yeah.
because something happens where you're just like, what the, and that's what that show was kind of, it was its biggest strength, I guess. I mean, just like and it's interesting how certain shows will be or certain things evolve. Like, I don't know if you know this. But did you know that in Breaking Bad, the original plan was that Jesse was supposed to get killed off in season 1? Now, how different of a show would that have been if that had
That's
happened?
insane.
It is true though. That happens a lot of times though. Like in the original Dark Shadows, Roger Collins, who was the brother of the matriarch, was supposed to be an out and out villain. The story was supposed to end with him trying to kill Victoria Winters, who at the time was the main character. I mean, she kind of starts the show off. She's the governess that comes to Collinsport and Collinwood Mansion, and to be the governess to their Roger's Lavoie. Roger was supposed to be an out and out fucking villain, dude.
Oh, wow.
And because the actor was so charming and everybody liked him, even on the set, they changed the story and the characters are evolution. Barnabas was supposed to only be on the show for 6 weeks, dude. He was going to get killed off. He was just there to bump up the ratings because at the time, Dark Shadows kind of had a cult following, but it wasn't, it was just, they noticed that when they had the Phoenix character, the ratings went up. When they had a ghost appear, ooh, supernatural. So the creator's like, well, no, there can't get more supernatural, a fucking vampire. So he introduces Barnabas. Barnabas becomes so fucking popular, Bushy. Well, now they got to keep him alive. Well, what do? Can't have him kill off the whole town. Now, the interesting thing, though, is the actor who played Barnabas, Jonathan Frid, he even portrayed Barnabas kind of in a sympathetic light right off the bat. Like, he would say certain things or do certain things that, like, there's a part where he's describing his old house that he lived in as a kid. That's the old house. It's like that's the mansion the Collins family lived before they moved to the one that's the new house, which is like over 200 years old. But and it's all dilapidated. And he's talking to Vicky about what took to build. And he knows the history of it. And there's one part though where they compare it to the tombs in Egypt. And she goes, well, there is one difference between this house and the pyramids in Egypt, Barnabas. And he goes, well, what's that? And she's like, well, the pyramids were designed to be a tomb. This house was designed for people to live in. And he looks right out the window in the moonlight. And he's like, you're right, my dear. This house was not designed to be a tomb. And then the music's all, woo, like it. So he would say certain things. Like there's a part where he talks to his lost love's photo or painting, and he says something about, if my father's ghost is here with yours, tell him I've come home. I'm free now and alive to live the life I never had. And then he looks out in the darkness, goes, whatever that may turn out to be. So there was a lot of like a little bit there, there were certain things he would say or do. Like there was a part where they know there's a creature on the loose and there's something's fucked up and it's something they've never encountered. So when Barnabas is describing what he did, the doctor says, you almost sound like you admire him. He goes, no, in fact, I loathe him very much. He's not himself, dude. So, but yeah, it got to a point where they were like, well, fuck, this guy's he's so popular. He's getting all these erotic letters from ladies and shit. Like, we can't kill him off. He became the star of the show. So then they go back in time and they show you how he became a vampire, and the show took off. And that's what made Dark Shadows the show it was. But there's a lot of television shows that evolve, or a lot of things that start out one thing and then become another. And I think with Breaking Bad, when I read that, I was like, whoa, like I can't imagine Breaking Bad without Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, his story continues after Walt dies. You got El Camino, man. Like, that poor guy went through hell too.
Then I've seen weird rumors of another season or another reboot or something where Walter White didn't die. They got him to the hospital. I'm like,
Leave it alone. I hope
I
that's not
don't
true.
want to see that. I
I
don't.
don't either.
I don't need some cheesy, you know, Bobby Ewing's been dead for an entire year and then he
Oh my God, that was
in
so
the fucking
ridiculous.
shower because Pamela wakes up and it was all a
Yeah, and
dream.
it was all that whole season where he
The whole
died and
season
everything was
just,
a dream.
just doesn't count. Just doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, really?
Oh God, we're definitely dating ourselves there for
We
our
are, we
listeners.
are.
That's definitely the
But
two.
hey, I remember who
Dallas.
shot JR, man. That dates us. And
Yeah,
how big of a fucking deal that was.
it was national news.
Yeah.
That's
And you know
that's
what's cool? My mom was sharp as a tack. She figured out who did it. She knew it was Crystal.
yeah, nice.
My mom was a smart lady, though.
Yeah, that was huge news. I don't think people understand how big that
Well, you
was.
got to
That was
remember, we
such a
didn't.
big show.
It's just different now, Bushy. I mean, these young kids, man, and I'm not going, oh, you get sweeper, because you know what? My grandparents said the same thing about my generation. Oh, you don't know how good you got it, and they were right. They were absolutely right. But dude, to get content on demand the way we have it now, dude, it's gotten so bad that I get overloaded. I'm like, fuck, there's so much to watch. I don't even know where to start
Yeah,
sometimes. You know, I got to be like, all right, hit the pause button. I'm going to focus solely on this. Like, I just got done. I'm going to go back to Cobra Kai because the new season's out. I haven't watched it yet. But I binge watched that 90s show.
I started it. I fell asleep.
I liked it. I like
That'd
it.
be
It
good.
gets better as it goes along. I mean, if you're a fan of that 70s show, you're going to like it. There's a lot of cool characters that appear. There's a lot of people who play new characters that are connected to existing ones, but in a really cool and neat way. I liked it. I mean, to me, it's just a continuation. It really is, Um, I get a kick out of all the new characters and also a lot of the ones we love. And I love Red Foreman. He's my dad. I swear to God, that's Gene Tyler to a fucking T. Dumbass. And
Yeah,
and because my dad's not really a people person, much like Red. He doesn't want to be bothered, man.
right.
So I see a lot, and he does too. My dad loved that 70s show, loved it, watched it all the time. And I had as I mentioned him before on my radio show and here, my musical mentor, he's like an older brother to all of us Tyler boys, Kevin Barnes. He was literally a teenager during the 70s. So when I'd go, I guess you can totally relate to this show. And he goes, of course. Well, now I got friends like Bill and other people who kind of even more so relate to, not because they were a teenager in the 90s.
Yeah,
Now Bill, the show takes place, the first episode or season takes place in 95. Bill had graduated in school in 94, but he was still young. Now, I kind of identify with some stuff too, because I was still in my 20s. At that point in time, I'm going to see bands like Pantera and having my mind blown and going all these amazing shows that just makes me want to fucking put a fucking pen in the tack of people. No, it was dead in the 90s. No, it wasn't.
right.
Amazing fucking music being made that time too, but that's another rant. But I liked it. I liked it, man. I definitely got a kick out of it.
Yeah, I didn't say I fell asleep because I was bored. I fell asleep because I was fucking tired. I put it
Oh
on.
no, it's
fell
cool.
asleep.
It's cool.
But
Um,
I love those characters anyway. Um, and Red's always been like my hero.
fucking Red rules, dude.
95, that would put me 2 years out of high school.
So yeah, I'm telling you, man. And of course, just like that 70s show, but even some ways more so, because I don't know, it's been a while since I've watched that 70s show, but like one of the characters will have a daydream and they'll go to like the one girl, imagine she's Lisa Loeb and she's doing that, you say song, but then Lisa Loeb shows up and goes, what the fuck are you? And that's another thing. There's actually like dirty language in this because it's Netflix, dude. So they don't
Netflix,
censor
yeah.
as much. What are you doing in my apartment? Get out of here,
Yeah.
And she's all singing along, and Lisa Loeb's like, you don't look anything like me. She's pushing her, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, as I said, if you like that show, the original show, I feel a little cheated. I know they did that 80s show, but it wasn't that good. And I kind of wish they would have just waited till those people and then did the 80s and because those are my teenage years.
Yeah.
But whatever. That's cool, man. I mean, Gen X gets skipped over once again.
That's okay. We got, Cobra Kai. At least it brings back our,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
I've got to check. That season's dropped. I thought it wasn't until Christmas time.
There, Netflix, they
Yeah.
do the binging thing where, and it's weird, like Amazon, I've noticed will do that with certain shows. With some of them, they'll put out like 2 or 3 episodes at first, and then you got to wait weekly. But here lately, like that new Batman animated series, Cape Crusader, the entire season's out, and they did the same thing with Fallout, the show based on that video game, which I loved. That was fucking amazing show. So it's just kind of surprised. I guess maybe Amazon felt confident enough in it to, hey, fuck it, we're just gonna put the whole thing out. I don't know. But Netflix has always done that way.
Yeah.
It's half the season. And then you got to wait for November for the other part. I think they're doing the season like maybe like 3 parts, kind of like what Walking Dead.
They did that shit with fucking The Ranch too. You were just waiting forever for things to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a great show that had most of those guys from that 70s show.
Oh, it was funny as hell, man.
Great. One of my favorite sitcoms. It doesn't look like a sitcom. I think that's why I liked it so much.
What, The Ranch? I watched the first several seasons. I never finished it. I guess I need to. Is it over? Did they end it or?
Yeah, it's done. It did 8. They call it 8 parts.
Yeah.
You know,
but I really liked it.
Jason,
I thought it was funny as fuck hell, man. You know,
name Hyde there, the kid that played Hyde.
Yeah.
He got himself in some trouble, so he got kicked off the show, and they had to bring in another guy. But they did it well. They played it off as a dude's brother's son, you know, and of course, you know, the patriarch, Sam Elliott, his brother's dead, his son shows up and they want to take him in, but he's PTSD war vet with a bad alcohol problem kind of thing. And it fit.
Well, that's what was cool about that show is it would have it would have moments of serious shit. It wasn't always ha 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 all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I mean, even that 70s show sometimes would have moments where it got would touch you in the feels, you know, because it wasn't always a lap a minute all the time. Yes, it's a sitcom, but it's, yeah, you know, like even in this, and there's moments where I'm like, oh, that's deep or that's pretty cool, you know, and, yeah, I like The Ranch. Like I said, I watched the several first parts. I never did finish it, man. In fact, I think the last episode I saw is where Hyde's character, you know, gets in trouble and he had to leave. But we also know that, well, we know what happened there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
it's good. There's only maybe 1 or 2 parts after that. Anyway.
I got to admit, that was one where at first I'm like, but then when there kept being more and more people coming forward, I'm like, yikes. Yeah. And plus he's mixed up in all that Scientology, and I'm sorry, but those people are fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it. And I can say it and you can't get offended because I'm not religious. So I'm not being a judgmental Christian or anything. They're fucking weird.
Right. Fuckhead.
So anyway, man, yeah, I guess we've rambled on. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know. I'm just glad to be back.
I know, right? Welcome back, by the way. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We'll be back in action, recording, getting stuff out there. Scribble, thanks for yelling at me. You know,
right?
Not my fault. You know, I live in the fucking sticks, dude. I'm in the boonies. Like I said, one internet company will come out here.
I mean, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. It got to a point, and I don't know, are you familiar with the film Excalibur?
It's one of my favorites.
I love that movie. And in my opinion, the greatest cinematic version of
the Arthur legend.
The Arthurian legend, hands down.
Agreed.
And there's that part where he's poor Percival's looking for the Grail. Now, that's one thing where they did kind of depart from the story, because actually it's Sir Galahad, Sir Lancelot's son, who obtains the Grail. Percival came this fucking close though in the actual stories. But you know, even with the books, there's so many different versions of the Arthurian legend. So maybe there was a version where Percival did get it. I mean, there's been so many written interpretations of the Arthurian legend, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of basing mine more on Le Morte d'Arthur, which is the life and death of Arthur, which this was very much based on. But that part where he goes up to his buddy and it's freezing cold, and he's like, "Did you find it? Did you find the Grail?" And the dude's all frozen, and it's just a skull, and then he just goes, We will never find it. I ain't gonna lie, dude. I was starting to feel that way with you on the internet. I was like, we will never podcast again.
I know.
Like it was like, Mushy, did you get the internet? And you're all like, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, we will never podcast.
Yeah, it fucking sucked. You know, that's why I recorded Hanging with Bushy Friday night. I was so happy to have internet back.
I would have recorded with you then if I could have, but
Yeah, you were doing your radio show.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it turns on Tuesday, then I got to work Wednesday, Thursday. I'm like, fuck. You know. So Friday I got a hold of Jason Harris, my old bass player and roommate. Hey man, what are you doing tonight? He said, I already know, you just tell me when. So it was good. It's good to get back into the swing of things. On that channel, I did interview Rocket Star. That was a fun interview. If you haven't seen that, go check that.
I have to watch that. I still have to check that out.
It's fun little interview.
No, I mean I need to watch the actual movie.
Oh, The Death of a Rock Star. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good stuff. It's good stuff.
I mean, I gotta admit, I did, and it was so weird because you told me about it, and I kind of forgot. And then I saw an advertisement on, it was either Instagram or Facebook. I'm
Yeah.
on several, and my nephew Kane has given me, he's hooked me up with Discord, so I'm starting to do that too.
Nice.
You know, and I feel old as fuck because they're most of the people in there are younger than me. What's interesting though is some of them are met, like there's a whole Megadeth group, you know, but it's just interesting to hear their perspective because they were like, well, what was your first album? And I went, Peace Sells. And they're like, whoa. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I actually had that happen to me when I went to see Machine Head. It was an evening with Machine Head, which would have been around the time Unto the Locust came out. And I noticed there was people my age, but there was people, young people. And they're saying their first album was Through the Ashes of Empires or, you know, The Blackening. And what's your first album? And because, I mean, I got gray in my beard now, but at the time I did not. And I just looked at him and smiled and said, I bought Burn Your Eyes when it originally came out. And they all went, dude, you're an OG Machine Head fan. I said, yes, I am. I was there when the album came out, and I remember being blown away by it. Yes, sir. I mean, and what was really cool is I remember the first time I heard him, I'm like, man, this sounds like Pantera meeting Sacred Reich. How could I not love it?
Yeah, it's not a bad combination.
Not at all. Anyway, I'm digressing, but yeah, dude, welcome back, man. It's good to have you back. Like I said, I was kind of like Percival. I was starting to lose hope.
Me too.
You know, I was like, I'm like, we will never find it. We will never, but she will never find the internet. Like I was thinking, God damn, man, is he going to have to move? Like, like move.
Well, like I
move.
said, I was about to buy Starlink. When I first looked into it, it was like $1,000, and I just didn't have $1,000
That's
lying around.
That's pretty rich, man. I mean, for internet, sir, I'm like, God damn. I mean, I'm going to say it right now, though. If you do end up getting that, and I know you said they're offering better deals for that kind of money, my internet service provider better fucking suck me. I'm just saying that's a lot of dough, dude.
Well, it's not that anymore, thankfully. I was keeping my eye on it because when it was $1,000, they didn't even offer in this area. I don't know if you needed more satellites up or what. Then because I kept looking at it to see because the service itself's $120 a month. There's no tiers. It's like, this is how much internet you get. It's this fast. It's this fast upload, this fast download, and it's pretty quick.
So it's all or nothing.
Yeah. So $120, but you got to buy the equipment. The equipment was outrageous. Now it's down to $299. So I had talked to Nevaeh. We were just going to fucking half it. And it's like, and then I'll buy your half out when you decide to leave home, you know? But shit, we got this. I'll ride this for a bit. I may still order the Starlink. The Starlink, we would not be recording today. It would still be 2 weeks out because I would have had to order it, wait for it to get here, and then figure out how to hook the fucking thing up. But we're good to go. We'll get back into the recording. I believe we're going to get out of here. This is just a short little, hey, we are back.
This will be our first episode back, and then we're going to record another one back to back, baby, ladies and gentlemen. Baby. Remember.
That's a fact. We're going to do that. So yeah, it's good to be back. Metal Mike, thanks for sticking around. Holy
Oh, hey, dude. Look, I told you before, man, because you've all been like, sometimes you've been like, man, just don't. I'm like, bro, I'm not leaving the plug. Now, that doesn't mean I won't try other podcasts or do other stuff. And to be honest with you, I mean, I want to give a shout out to people like Mark Alden Taylor and Andy Rodriguez and Al Horta for having me on their podcast. It's been an honor, a lot of fun. And I was already a big podcast whore, but now I'm even a bigger podcast whore. So, hit me up. I might not always be able to commit, but I will try when I can. And yeah. And as I said, there's also another thing maybe in the works. We're going to see. Don't want to say too much about it right now, but we're going to maybe look into doing something there. So, yeah. Anyway, man, you guys take care of yourself. Ozzy bless. Keep fighting the good fight and stay fucking metal to your dying breath.
Fucking cat. Bye, Vinyl. We'll see you next time.
Go ahead, man. Your cat scratching?
No, it dumb fuck knocked over my